Nigeria is the central engine of Africa's digital economy, powered by a massive youth population and an aggressive rate of innovation. In 2021 alone, Nigerian startups secured $1.37 billion, the largest share of venture capital on the continent. But these high funding numbers hide a systemic crisis. Between 2010 and 2018, 61% of these new companies collapsed. Founders were struggling to survive crippling overregulation, a lack of early-stage capital, and a series of bureaucratic bottlenecks that made scaling a company nearly impossible. To address these failures, the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari signed the Nigeria Startup Act into law in October 2022. The core objective of the act is to provide a legal framework that forces government regulators and tech innovators into a collaborative, rather than hostile relationship. By creating this legally protective environment, the act attempts to stabilize the ecosystem before regulatory pressures cause the country's active tech hubs to stall. The entire system relies on the startup label, an official government certification that grants a company access to the Act's specific financial and legal benefits. Once labeled, a company can access the Startup Investment Seed Fund. The Act allocates 10 billion naira every year to this fund, specifically to provide capital for ventures that are still in their early stages. The financial support continues through the Pioneer Status Incentive, which grants startups an initial 3-year corporate tax holiday that can be extended for another 2 years. The law adds 100% tax deductions for research and development and exempts investors from capital gains tax, provided they hold their equity in the company for at least 2 years. To manage the paperwork, the Act establishes a digital startup portal. This serves as a centralized window where founders can bypass fragmented red tape by dealing with the central bank and the SEC in one place. On paper, the Act provides the same type of fiscal incentives and regulatory coordination used to support early-stage companies in several other fast-growing economies. But 2 years after the law was passed, the actual experience of founders on the ground reveals a deep chasm between the written law and its execution. That prized startup label has transitioned from an efficient gateway into a bureaucratic bottleneck. Managed by the National Information Technology Development Agency, the process is now defined by unclear timelines and poor communication. State-level adoption has also stalled. For the Act to have a local impact, individual states must domesticate the law. Currently, only 12 out of 36 states have initiated that process. Even the capital is trapped. In 2023, only 12% of the 10 billion naira allocated for the seed fund actually reached startups. Capital is being held back by unclear dispersal rules, institutional friction between agencies, and a general lack of awareness among the founders who need it most. The implementation gap has effectively neutralized the Act's financial tools, leaving startups to navigate the same systems the law was meant to replace. Today, nearly 50% of Nigerian founders still rely on angel investors and crowdfunding to survive because the government support structure remains difficult to access. Nigeria has successfully created the necessary legislation. The current crisis is a deficit in the actual delivery of those policies. Founders are currently forced to choose, focus on their product, or spend their limited resources and stamina attempting to extract benefits from a system still tangled in red tape. International investors are watching this implementation gap. They are using the government's ability to execute this law as a metric for the maturity of the Nigerian market. To retain its position as Africa's tech leader, the government must mobilize the political will to move these incentives out of the portal. Execution, not the passage of a law, determines whether an ecosystem survives.